Greetings! So for today's project, I'm using Cotton King's 8-4 sport yarn that you can find on hobby.com. Really great site. So to start off, we want to chain 40. Now, I wish I could actually chain this fast, but I just sped up the video on this clip here. All right, there we are. And now we're going to go single crochet all the way around, 40, all the way around once. So you're going to end up with 80 stitches in the round altogether. And at the very end, I add one more. Since the following stitch is going to be staggered, it needs to be an uneven number. And just keep single crocheting all the way to the end, and then we'll do the same on the other side. All right, let's speed this up a little bit. Okay, just reaching the end point here, single crochet still, and now I'm just going to do the other side. So you can see, flipping it over. That's my first side, and now we're going to go along the back side. I do like to pick up that tail and just stitch it in on the way. And we're still doing all single crochet. Just speeding this up a bit here. All right, so now we do single crochets and double crochet staggered stitches for 2 rows. And this is what I was saying about the staggered stitch of a single and double crochet. So you're going to need an uneven number of stitches. So you will need to add, you will be working with 81 in the round. Single crochet, and here's a double crochet. And then another single crochet. Yeah, and a double. Oops. single, and so on. Yep, all the way around, 2 times. Let's speed this up a bit because it's pretty much the same. One single, one double. We'll meet you on the other side. All right, so now we're going to add those loops. Those will be used for the feathers later after the toque is done. We add the feathers last. So here I'm just finding my corner and I'm going to count in 10 stitches of the single and double staggered stitch. Basically, I just flatten the project out as best I can and find the corner and just count 10 in from there. So now I've counted my 10 stitches, I believe. Yeah. So now I'm doing 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And here I'm going to do a slip stitch and anchor that, and I'm going to chain 8, or sorry, yeah, it's chain 8. And then I just do another slip stitch in the same hole that I did the first one in. And then I'm going to do 4 single crochets. 2, 3, and 4. And then another slip stitch here. And chaining 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And back in the same hole to anchor it, and 4 single crochets. And I want to make 4 of these loops. So this is loop number 3. Same idea, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one here. And then for the last one, I anchor the slip stitch in. You can have a nice look at this. Okay, so I anchor the slip stitch in, then I do 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and then I carry on with my regular staggered single double crochet pattern. Starting on whatever I land on first. So here it looks like I'm going to be starting with a single crochet and then double back to my regular staggered stitch. So I'm going to go all the way around once, and we'll meet you right close to on the other side here, right at that first loop, set of loops there. Okay, here we are, getting close. I'm just gonna do a few more stitches. Okay, so now I'm about to get to those two single crochets we did before. And on those two single crochets, I'm gonna do back post single crochets. Just in the back loop there, or back, yeah, back loop single crochets, sorry. Kind of like a guideline for later on the second half of this project. And I just, for the slip stitch ones, I just grab it right from the middle of the loop. And there you are. There's a nice guideline for later on the second half of the project when we do the feathers. And now we just carry on for with the single and double crochet staggered stitch here until we get to just over halfway on the back, and we're going to do the ears next. I used stitch counters for these ears just to make it a little bit more easy to understand. If you find it helpful, feel free. I usually don't bother, but for this tutorial, I'm going to use the stitch counters. I'm going to clip together the stitches that I want. You're going to want to have 7 empty stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we clip together those ones there. We just try to make it, just flatten it out and get what's on the end and count to 7. So there's 7 empty stitches, and then just clip those two together. And you're going to just knit them together and make the ears. And this will make more sense in a second. So I'm just crocheting up to those stitch counters now. Okay, I'm getting close. Okay, so here's where my stitch counter is, and I'm just gonna I want to crochet those 2 stitches that it's clipped to together. And obviously I'm clearly struggling a little bit here because I don't usually use stitch counters, but I'm probably just gonna take this off. Yeah, let's just take this off. Yeah. Okay, that's better. So now I'm just doing, yeah, stitching those together, and there's those empty stitches, and you just leave it like that and keep going around. And we do the same thing on the other side. Here you can see there's a hole there, right? And we just shove that in like so. And voila, an ear. This is probably one of my favorite parts, doing the ear. It's very exciting. There is a lot going on in the first few rows, so you may have to just rewatch this to kind of see what step comes next. But once we get past the ears, it's pretty straightforward after that. In this section here, underneath the loops, I like to use single crochet stitches because it kind of pinches the hat together just enough to make the ear stand out, just that little extra. So between the loops, just underneath, I'll do single crochet. And just one more here, and I'm about to go back to my regular, yep, staggered stitch here. Double, single, double, and single, and so on. And I'm gonna do, oh right, I gotta do the other ear, almost forgot. Take that thing out this time. And just keep on stitching. Oh, I guess let's put that in there first, yeah. There we go. All right, so now that the ears are out of the way, we're gonna do 2 more rows of the in the round, and then we're gonna start the next set of loops. So kind of relax and just enjoy doing 2 more rows of the single crochet double staggered stitch. And don't forget to do single crochet in between the feathers. Okay, so here you can see that's where I'm doing my single crochet, that pink highlighted area, single crochet between the feathers. And then the rest of it is all double crochet, single crochet, staggered stitches. With this diagram, you can see how many stitches you'll need to count in for each row of feathers. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about where we are here on the pattern. So the top half is pretty much done. And I just wanted to point out a few things. So if you notice closely here, you can notice that I actually used a single crochet, and here I used a staggered single crochet and double crochet pattern on the sides here, and then I just used a single crochet in between each of these loops here. And I like to do that because it really kind of pinches this part together, just enough so that when it goes on the head, uh, the ears kind of stand out a lot more, and it's kind of neat that way. So I like to do that. If you also notice here too, I I back loop single crocheted for one row here right after I did the loops. And the reason why I did that is when I do the feathers later, and you'll understand momentarily here, it's much easier to see where you're supposed to anchor your feathers when we do that. And then I'll show you better once we get there. I ordered this on Hobby, and one of these is enough for the top part of the hat here. This is plenty to do this part. If you wanted to use the same yarn for the ribbing at the bottom here that we're about to start as well, you might want to order two. I prefer to use a different yarn for the bottom just to add, make it more interesting and I also find that cotton tends to be a little bit stiffer, so I prefer to use acrylic or wool, particularly acrylic or any other fiber that's not cotton. But wool tends to be kind of hot on a baby, so I prefer to use acrylic because babies they get really their skin tends to be pretty sensitive, so I prefer to use acrylic or some kind of softer fiber for them. I'm gonna go ahead and anchor the next color yarn here. We're going to switch it over. So, and I usually start in the middle, somewhere in the back, doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and get my yarn, my new yarn in here. And I'm just choosing this is recycled yarn, this bright green that I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. So there, I've got it on there. And then let's just do the first. Sorry, it's because sometimes I get a little confused here. I think that's here that I want to go. Okay. I just like to get the first one in there, and it's just double crochets all the way around. And then I like to just kind of flip it over here. I'm going to trim this and tie these two together. And then I'm just going to actually knit them right in. So I'm noticing here that this yarn is actually a lot thicker than I realized. I'm going to go ahead and just go for it anyways. But I prefer to use either the same thickness or even just like a tiny bit thinner for the ribbing, the hat trim. But let's just see how this goes. We're going to just go for it. Worst case, I can frog it. I am not fearful of that. And we're just going to go all the way around. I will meet you momentarily if I decided to keep this or not. I'm not sure yet. So as you can see, I decided to stick to this yarn. I decided to stick to this yarn after all, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. And here you can see I really should have worked this into the project, but to be completely honest, I forgot. So I'm just going to ignore it for now, and I'll deal with it later. So the first one is just going to be right here. And they're just a double front post and double back post all the way around. Super duper simple. If you haven't done this before, it's very, very easy, and it's like stretchy, and it's a really great technique. I use it all the time. If I can just get this in here, that would be great. There we go. So back post, right? And then front post. And back post. And front post. And again, and again, and again, all the way around. You can kind of see it already doing its thing, kind of, sort of. I will just keep going all the way around exactly the same, and I will catch up with you for usually about maybe, depending on the thickness of the yarn that you're using, between 8 or 10 rows, I would say, depending on the thickness of the yarn that you're using. Mine is pretty thick, so I'm probably just going to do 8 rows, but I'm not sure yet. I have to decide. So I will catch up with you. Okay, everybody, welcome back. As you can see, I did end up going for a black yarn because that light green was a bit too thick after all, and it wasn't having the stretchy effect that I wanted. So this happens to be a black acrylic mega ball yarn that I had that I ordered from Hobby. Again, I order a lot of yarn from Hobby, so you can find it on there if you wanted to follow the tutorial exactly. And now I'm going to go ahead and start my feathers with you guys. So for the feathers, I've picked out this kind of really fun black and yellow acrylic yarn, also found on Hobby. I'm pretty sure it's called the cookie yarn. I just really love this color combination. It's different, so I'm going to try that out and see how it looks. For the feathers, you can use pretty much any yarn. Actually, let me go grab a sample of one that I did with eyelash yarn, and it actually turned out pretty cool. So let me go grab that sample. 1 second. So here you can see with the eyelash yarn, I did this owl hat just for fun. I wanted to see what would happen, and I absolutely love it. So you can use any yarn to do the feathers with. For today, I'm going to use something simple because I want you guys to see exactly what I'm doing, and it's pretty hard to see when you're using the eyelash yarn. But once you know what you're doing, you can use whatever yarn you want. It's a really good way to get rid of scrap yarn. So let's get started on that. Alright, so just grabbing my 5mm crochet hook here, I'm going to unravel some yarn. Alright, so as we were talking about earlier, those lines now, this is why I left those lines there, is because it's much easier to figure out where you want to anchor your yarn that way. So I actually I pick up this one, but I like to pick up an extra one myself just to make sure it's really in there. So, and it, I just kind of grab whatever. So for the first one, so this one seems like a good spot. And this one here. Bear with me while I just have a sip of my coffee. If anyone knows me, they know that I love coffee, so. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and do that now. And I just kind of anchor it in there. I just do one loop, one slip knot here, I mean. And so for the first 3 rows, I do all the feathers with double crochet. And the last one here, I use a triple pull crochet just to make the beak stand out a little bit more. So for these ones, I just do double crochet. And usually, depending on the yarn that you're using, you could do 12 to 14 all the way around. So let's see, depending on, I'm not sure how thick this is going to be, so let's find out how many we're going to need. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a little awkward when you're going back. 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to do 12, I think. 11 and 12. Yeah, we're gonna stick with 12. I have done 14 with thinner yarn, but I think 12 looks just fine for this here. And then, so here, we just kind of find the middle-ish one. So 1, 2, I think this looks good right here. Let's anchor it right there. So picking up 2, like so, and I'm just gonna do a slip knot here, just like that. And then on to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Kind of adjust those feathers a little better after. So let's anchor this one in here. I'm gonna do this one here and this one. Perfect. And anchor that with a slip knot. So I'm just gonna pull this out just so you can kind of see where we're going. All right, you can see, yeah, and this can kind of be adjusted here. Let's just do that. There we go. And I'm just gonna keep going for 1, 2, 3 rows. And then the last one, I'm going to pick a different color for the beak, and I'm gonna use a triple pull crochet for this one here. Right on. I think this looks great, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. I'm gonna do the beak with you guys on camera here. As you can see, all the feathers, we're gonna deal with these scragglies after. Basically, we just pull them into the hat and kind of, weave them in, cut them off, whatever we can do to make it look nice and get rid of them. We'll do that after though. So the beak I wanted to do with you guys because we're doing a triple crochet instead of a double crochet. As you can see, I've already anchored it onto that spot there. And I'm just gonna, there we go. So ignore those tassels, they can go off to the side. So we're doing triple crochets for these ones. So I'm gonna do probably 12 again, I think. So at 6, 1, 2, 3, and I ended up using a double. I've got a black and a blue in here, so I thought it would look nice. So 1, 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. And then to make the beak pointy, I do 2 slip stitches like so, and then I just kind of go back in and I just slip stitch that in there, and that seems to work out pretty good for me. You can kind of see it. You'll see it better once I do the other side of the beak here. So that was, what did we say, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 6. So then we're going to do 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then let's just anchor that. All right, now let's straighten that all out so we can see what it looks like. Cool. And there you have it. So I am actually going to iron this. A lot of this is acrylic, like all these are acrylic, so I'm going to use a cloth and on top and just be extra careful. But I really like to iron mine. I think it looks a lot better. So you just got to be extra careful when you have acrylic yarn in there. I'm going to do that really quickly, and I'm going to pull in all of these in like so and weave them in the back. So I just pull them all through the hat. I like to do it all at once. So pull them all through and then kind of, I don't know why I like to make things complicated, but I do. You could just cut them off, but I really like to do it this way. You know what? I'm going to do that after, off camera. Yeah, so I'm going to do all of that, and I'm going to iron it carefully, and then we're going to do the eyes. So I have ironed it all down, and you can see that looks great. I'm really excited about it. So we're going to put that off to the side, and if you have a preferred method, or even if you want to use felt instead of yarn for the eyeballs, you can do that. I believe that there are no rules. You do whatever you want. So if it looks cool, then have at her. I'm going to do the other one, and I'm just going to sew them on. I'm going to do all that off camera. It's pretty straightforward. You plop it on there and keep an eye on where you're sewing to make sure they're even. And you're done. That's it. We're almost done. I'm so excited. This one is my favorite. And you know what? I say that about every single project. That the one that I made is my favorite. The one with this one was my last favorite. Because it just looks like it's got like a mohawk or I don't know what's going on, but it looks awesome. But this one is my new favorite. Actually, you know what? I still like the blue eyelash yarn one too, but they're both really cool for their own reasons. So let's see what it looks like when it's done.